Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm very glad you're with us today. My friends, our guest this week is a Seek Reality crowd favorite. Peter Wright is with us for the 15th time, and in his case, he has been back so often because our listeners keep emailing me and telling me that they've tried his services and they've had such wonderful results with him that they want just to let me know that. Well, of course, then I had to thank Peter, and then we had to have him back on again. Peter Wright is a certified hypnotherapist based in Santa Barbara, California, with 25, I think probably it's more like 30 years of experience, working with more than 2,000 clients. He holds this distinction of being one of only 40 board-certified past life regression therapists in the United States. He's certified as a life between lives hypnotherapist as well, and he's also skilled in spirit releasement therapy, which to me is kind of spooky. I don't like to think about that one. That was our topic the last time, though. He was with us. Peter tells me that many people have consulted him who have first learned about him from having heard about him on Seek Reality broadcasts. So you see, we have kind of a positive loop going on here. I also have been happy to work with Peter myself as a client, although my Thomas, my spirit guide, wouldn't let me do a past life regression with him to try to meet some of my own past lives. Thomas says that after I go home, I can meet my 17, believe it or not, past lives that I've shared with Thomas. Not before, though. I have the bossiest spirit guide in the entire world, but I do love him anyway, all the same. This week, we're going to learn more about past life regression therapy, and that, by the way, is a very important thing. There's a lot you can learn about your own self this time around by doing past life regressions with people like Peter. Peter, welcome. I'm so happy to have you back with us again.
Thank you so much for inviting me to return. It's always a pleasure spending time with you, Roberta.
We do have a lot of fun, don't we? Yes. It's important we kind of learn more about what past life regression really is all about. It's kind of a complex thing, but it works really well. So why don't we talk about that?
Past life regression therapy, using hypnosis, we go back to an earlier time, whenever that time may be, to help you resolve issues in a past life that have followed you into this life. Perhaps they're karma or something else, using hypnosis to do this. And I find a lot can happen in just 1 2-hour session to help a client let go of thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs such as anxiety, fear, depression, grief, resentment, whatever that might be, that is causing them problems in this life.
Wow. And so these things, because people wonder about that. I mean, it's enough to even wonder about having had a past life at all, and then to think that it hangs on into this life, but you can't remember it. People ask me about that sometimes. They send me emails about it, that, this is something I think about in this life. Is that something from a past life? They want me to tell them about it. It's something I don't even know about myself, although I know I've had past lives. How can you tell if something is happening in this life, or you think about it in this life, and it might be something from the past?
Well, what I find is that Earth is a free will zone. We come to Earth to practice making choices in our lives. That's how our souls evolve, through the choices that we make. There are no wrong choices. They're just choices with consequences. So we come back time and time again to help learn our lessons, if you will, eventually choosing love over hate, choosing forgiveness over anger, and so on. So I find that we've all had, from my perspective, hundreds of past lives, because by doing so, our souls are eternal, and we're seeking to learn our lessons to eventually return to source, to God, to the divine, whatever that might mean for you.
But how would you know if something, I keep having visions of a red car. Does that mean a red car killed me in my previous life? Is that how it works?
We invite your higher self to take us back into the story of that past life, to find out what occurred in that experience. And by going back into that past life, we're looking for the defeats. Where do things go wrong for you in that lifetime? Because out of the defeats could come the unfinished business, the karma that's affecting you in your present lifetime. So we go into the story, find out what happened, and then the key turning points. How did you die? What was your dying thought? And then I take you from the death up into the light, up into the bardo, as it's called. It's an in-between place between lifetimes that the Tibetan Buddhists talk about. And you get there through your imagination. So we're now up in the bardo, and we invite anyone from that life we just explored, with whom you have unfinished business, to come and join us one by one, where you're given an opportunity playing that past life role, if you will, that protagonist in that lifetime, to speak your truth to that person in the past life with whom you have this unfinished business, and hear their responses. Because by going back and forth between you and them, we can often come to closure with that particular issue. Often it's through forgiveness on both sides. Because as you well know, Roberta, it's all about forgiveness. They're each able to forgive each other. So in achieving that, often the issue resolves itself. We come to closure with it. And therefore, the fear or the anxiety, the depression, whatever it might be, can be lifted for the client in the days ahead.
Yeah, forgiveness really is very important, which is why it was one of the two main things that Jesus taught when he was here. And we'll be talking more about that next week. But yeah, that's very important. And I want people to remember, too, that we don't immediately go into the next life. So we do spend time with loved ones from this lifetime that when it ends. So don't think this is something that, it's here to bardo to here again. But instead, there is some time we get to spend with loved ones from this life and have that healing, too. But this is a very important thing, though, to have closure from even sometimes lifetimes, not the most recent one, but even previous ones, because otherwise we can have, is this true, Peter, that we can have things from prior lives that aren't even the most recent one that we need healing from?
What I find is that on Earth, we have time exists on Earth in the third dimension, but but in past lives, time does not exist per se. And when we go outside of the third dimension, and so it could be that you've had, let's say, hundreds of lifetimes, but they're not all in sequential order. So your most recent past life before this one could have been in the 18th century. The one after that could have been during World War I. So we jump around from lifetime to lifetime because they're not sequential. They're just stories that are happening, that have happened in the past that are affecting you today.
Wow. See, this is really sort of amazing. But it's very important, though, to sort of clean it up, isn't it? Because otherwise these things, these issues can keep coming back into our minds and troubling us in this lifetime or even in future lifetimes from now.
Exactly. So what we're dealing with here is the soul's unfinished business, giving you an opportunity to, through the help of your higher self and all your guidance, to join us at the very beginning of the session in the trance state to come forth, because they know everything there is to know about you from this life and past lives, and are here to support you and encourage you on your soul's journey to come to closure with these issues, so that you can then focus on other issues as your soul continues to evolve. So we work very closely with heart, higher self, Archangel Michael, your grandmother, your spirit guides, they show up in the session. And in fact, you brought your to-do list to the session. They've brought their to-do list to the session. And their list takes precedence over yours because they know where we need to go first and will take us there to resolve these issues.
Wow. And they love you. That's the big thing. They're not there. It's important to say they're not there to bring up issues and they're punitive or in any way negative to you, but they're there to sort of lovingly help you have closure on everything.
Yep, absolutely. And that's what has really buoyed me in working with clients, because we are working with such loving resources from the light who know exactly where we need to go next. And using hypnosis in an altered state, it's very easy for us to go there. Perhaps it would be helpful for me to briefly describe what hypnosis is, because there are so many misconceptions about that.
Oh, perfect, Peter. Wonderful.
So for me, hypnosis is just simply focused concentration. We are fully aware of everything that's going on around you. You hear the traffic outside, but hopefully you're sharing with me what's going on inside of you, because I believe so many of our answers are within us if we can just get out of the way. And I'm here to get out of the way.
That's great. That's great. So it helps us get out of our own way in our own minds.
So we invite you then to just simply give yourself permission to go into a very relaxed state of relaxation. Because what I find is that your soul speaks through your imagination, and your soul is not making things up. Rather, it's translating what is inside of you into first thought, first feeling, first image, first voice. So in this relaxed state of trance, I invite you to be my tour guide, be my court reporter, and share with me whatever's happening as the session unfolds. Because you are there in a relaxed state, describing what is happening in that particular past life story. And by coming to closure with what occurred in that story, you can create shifts and changes in your life very quickly to allow you to let go of negative emotions or pains or whatever that might be that you brought to the table to resolve.
Sounds good. The thing is, I hear from people who say, wow, I had this issue. I went to Peter and the issue went away. And it almost sounds too good to be true sometimes. Let's hear a story or two. I mean, on how it actually works in practice.
Okay. So let's say the client's name is Alice, and she came to me after 5 years of talk therapy to resolve some severe anxiety and guilt that the talk therapy had only brought slight relief. And this guilt and anxiety surrounded health issues of her parents. Mom was a cancer survivor, but was still undergoing treatment, and Dad had died due to mental illness. Thus, my client had a lot of guilt and anxiety and fear regarding her own role as a caretaker for ill family members.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
Plus, Alice, my client, had unbearable migraine headaches at least 5 days a week that were extremely debilitating to her.
Oh.
And in addition, she wanted to forgive her mentally ill dad for behaving the way he did towards her and other family members before he died. And my client wanted to forgive herself for not being as good a caretaker as she should have been to both parents.
Boy, let's have more problems.
So I took her into a relaxed state of trance and up into the light, into the fifth dimension, where all possibilities exist for us. We're leaving the third dimension behind, going up into the fifth dimension, where we can go anywhere, anyhow, any why, any when. And we invited her higher self to join us, as if she were channeling her higher self, inviting the higher self to come through her with words like, I'm here. So I asked her higher self, is the cause or source of these issues, these caretaker issues and issues with mom and dad, due to something that happened to them in this life and a past life? And her higher self said, a past life. Would you take us back there now? Yes. Okay. Alice, I want you to follow your higher self back into that particular lifetime that's the cause or source of the pain, of the issues that you've been seeking to resolve. And so she found herself as a child in a family where dad had left the family and her mom died when my client, the past life daughter, was 15 years of age. So both parents, dad had left, mom had died. And with mom's death, my client, her daughter in that past life, had said to me, as we went into that story, into that situation, I don't know what to do now. It's just me. And soon after, she died. So we went into the story. We found out she felt defeated by what had occurred. Dad had left. Mom had died. She was very young. She was a chief caretaker. And now she's all alone, just me. And that was her dying thought. I then took her into the bardo. As I mentioned earlier, it's an in-between place between lifetimes that the Tibetan Buddhists talk about. And you get there through your imagination. So my client saw herself as this girl, this daughter in the bardo. And we invited her dad from that lifetime to join us in her imagination. And when she was there, she spoke her truth through her heart to her father and said, I wish you hadn't left the family when I was so young. I wish you had treated me as if I mattered to you. How does your father respond from that past life? Well, he apologized to his daughter, and she forgave him. Now, as you recall, as we talked about earlier, Roberta, it's all about forgiveness.
Truly, yes.
So I then asked my client, as the daughter, to look deeply into the eyes of her father in that past lifetime, down into his very soul. Does he remind you of anyone in your present lifetime? And my client realized that her dad from that life had reincarnated as her dad in her present lifetime. The dad who had been mentally ill. And then we also realized that her past life mom in that lifetime, who was then joined us, came in. And mom explained to her daughter that it was mom's time to die in that past life, even though her daughter was only 15 years old. But mom then said, I feel bad that you didn't make the right choices to take care of yourself after I died, and that you lived that life all alone. So the daughter replied, I just gave up. So I invited the daughter, my past life client, to look deeply into the eyes of your past life mom. Does she remind you of anyone in your life today? And she discovered that her past life mom had reincarnated as her current mom in this life. So we have both parents coming back to my client in this life to help work out these karmic issues. So towards the end of the session, after we explored the life as a caregiver to her past life parents, my client's higher self told her that she was not the one in charge of the health of other people. In fact, higher self told her, it was time for my client to take charge of her own life, to make wise choices for herself, and to reach out to others rather than spending so much time worrying about being left alone when her parents died.
Right.
Yeah. So she felt a real sense of closure there, having experienced the past life of what occurred within that family when dad left the family and mom died when she was 15 years old. And in this life, her father was mentally ill and mistreated her before he died. And she felt like she was the key caregiver for her own mother. She was then able to realize that she could now release the guilt and anxiety and fear about needing to be the one who was the only caretaker for her sick family members. So in our follow-up session, a week later, she told me that she'd reached out to her brothers and sisters who agreed to help her play that caretaker role. And in the weeks that followed, she said that she'd had not experienced a single headache since our session.
Oh, wow.
The migraines had disappeared.
Wow.
And then I heard from her several months later that she was still free of the migraine headaches. So my point here is that by going into that past life that was directly related to the issues that she was dealing with in this life, the issues of having to, the anxiety about her parents' health, the guilt and anxiety regarding her role as needing to be the caretaker for these ill family members. She had developed the unbearable migraine headaches. So we went into the story, dealt with the key players in that story, meaning herself as a child with those two parents and all the issues that developed health-wise with them. And then through forgiveness, dialoguing back and forth with each of them, learning the lesson, or lessons in this case, to know that that's why she chose to be her parents in her present lifetime. So she, in fact, could make better choices and not realize she has to take care of everybody else's health, but instead could ask for help from her own family members now and move forward in her own life, free of the migraine headaches.
But clearly, it's very important. People then become very ingrained in certain patterns of thought and habits of feeling, which you're freeing them from.
Yes.
And that if they don't learn to be free of them, they can get more and more entrenched in ways of feeling and thinking, which are negative and which are damaging to their being. And if they don't learn to free themselves, they can get stuck. She was really stuck.
Exactly. So this was the way, in working with her higher self, her heart, and all of her guidance, that joined us at the beginning of the session and led us through step by step, supporting her, supporting me, as we were both of us being inspired by them through first thought, first feeling, first image, first voice, to go into the story, find out where she was defeated, come to closure with those defeats by speaking her truth to those around her and hearing their truths in response, allowed her to release it, let it go, move on with forgiveness.
But talk therapy is not going to help, because talk therapy doesn't get into the cause of the problem. Because she can't find it on her own. You have to be able to go into it and into what's behind it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So with talk therapy, I find we're talking with the conscious mind, the ego, and so the conscious mind, the ego, and the true self, and the self there. But it's all a three-dimensional model of, this is all there is. There's nothing more than that. Well, there is so much more than that. So
much more. Yes.
With hypnotherapy, I'm taking clients into the fifth dimension, up into the light, where all possibilities exist for the client.
Of course.
Here we're working with your emotions, this life and past lives, your physical body, what's happened to it in this life and past lives. How about a number of clients with lower back pain? There's a sword sticking out of the lower back. We take the sword out and the pain goes away.
Yes.
But
Exactly. Yeah, quite amazing.
most
Yeah.
important with your
We've done so many of these. In fact, I invite people to go back and look at all of the and listen to all of the different interviews that I've done with Peter, and some of them have quite dramatic stories of these sessions that he's done with people under hypnosis, and all of the different ways that people have been healed in one session of going back and talking to their higher selves, and just one session. Yeah, there was a sword in their back from a previous life, and you pull out the sword and the pain is gone. Amazing things that this kind of work can do, which modern science, modern psychotherapy just doesn't recognize. They don't understand that this kind of thing simply does exist, and if you don't get to it, nothing gets fixed.
Exactly. We're looking for the story behind the story and inviting that story to come forth through you, the client, so that we can come to closure with it.
Quite astonishing. But it does work, and I know it works because I've had people tell me that they've been to you and things that have been troubling them for 20 years get cured in one session.
Mm-hmm. So let me share another client story with you as well.
Absolutely.
And this is from a client, let's say her name is Janet, had chronic stomach pain and was unable to speak her truth in front of others. So we entered the past life, and Janet saw herself as a Native American who was 5 years old, wearing sandals, had small hands, long hair. She was outside, scared, standing next to her mom, who was cooking a meal. So let's move forward now to the next important event when something changes. I had to get married, she said. I was not happy about it. I'm scared of my husband. I do whatever the tribe wants. All right, let's move forward now to the next significant event when something changes. I'm pregnant. I'm happy, but I'm scared. My husband is gone. So what happens next? I have to do this all myself. I'm giving birth, but it is very, very painful. I don't want to do this. Other women are there, but the baby dies. Lots of pain. And my husband is nowhere to be seen. What happens next? The tribe blames me for the death of my child. I feel unworthy. I can't go on. So what do? I stab myself in the stomach and die. Whoa. All right, so we have here a woman, Indian woman, Native American, who, while pregnant, gives birth to a baby who dies, and she's being blamed by her tribe. And therefore she kills herself. So we went into the bardo, that in-between place between lifetimes, and I asked her to invite all the tribal members who had condemned her and caused her death to come forth and join us there in her imagination in the bardo. We then asked the baby to show up and tell us why it died. And the baby came forth through my client and told the tribe and us that it was not her mother's fault that the baby had died. Hearing that, the tribe then said they now understood, and they forgave the mother, my client. In fact, the tribe told us that they were very sorry for causing the mother's death. My client, the mother, then responded by saying that she forgave the tribe for blaming her for her daughter's death. Again, it's that forgiveness is so key, Roberta, as you well know. So, seeking to come to closure with this, we invited Janet, the client's chronic stomach pain, to come and join us, because that was one of
to talk to the pain.
Yes, indeed. All parts of us have voices. We can invite that chronic stomach pain to come forth and talk to us, or the depression, or the fear, whatever that might be. we invite you to give a voice to that energy. And it comes through your own voice, speaking its own truth.
Wow.
So, invited the chronic stomach pain to come forth. And what wants to happen for Janet's stomach to completely heal? I asked the stomach pain. We were told that Native American mother has to forgive herself. This is what her inner wisdom team told us, her heart, her higher self, and all your guidance. So my client looked into her own eyes and forgave herself. I then asked her inner wisdom team, heart, higher self, and others who joined us from the light, what's the lesson for Janet from this past life story? And her higher self told us, for Janet to become a stronger person, she needs to stand up for herself and say no when she needs to do so. Stand your ground and be strong. Then my client said to me, with a great deal of heartfelt feeling, these words, I am a strong person and I will stand up for myself and speak my truth. It's now easier for me to speak my truth. So in our follow-up session a week later, Janet told me that her chronic stomach pains were now gone, and she felt much more emboldened to speak her truth to others. Wow.
Wow is right.
So by going into the story, finding out what happened, where were you defeated, and then inviting those who defeated you to come to join us in the bardo, or if you're the bad guy, for you to see those who you harmed and apologize to them, it gives us an opportunity for you to come to closure with that karma, with all those decisions, through forgiveness on both sides, and therefore move on your soul's journey without those fears, those the anxiety, the anger, whatever it might be. So you can learn other lessons to come.
Quite amazing.
So
was she altogether healed? This was it?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
So we're working with the soul's unfinished business and asking, again, higher self, heart, and all the guidance. And often Archangel Michael may join us. I mentioned the grandmother. They show up to be of assistance to the client. And then often, typically what happens is, now that we have a working partnership with this inner wisdom team during the session, I invite the client to come up with a sanctuary, a special place they can go to in their imagination to reconnect with this inner wisdom team, and to go there right then and there and describe the place to me. I'm sitting in a meadow beneath an oak tree on a beautiful spring day. The ocean is to my left, the mountains to my right. Perfect. So as you sit in your sanctuary, let's invite your team to join us. And how does your heart make itself known to you? How does your higher self? And so on. We place them around you and invite you to reconnect with them in the future on your own. And I send you a higher self shortcut to help you do that. So you can go within yourself to that sanctuary, invite your team to join you, and they can help you navigate your life in the future through first thought, first feeling, first image, first voice. So it's a way to continue to work with the team that joined us during this session and ask them to assist you in helping you make your life's decisions, or just the steps during the day that you'd like to take for your highest good.
And this is really so simple.
Yes.
That's the thing about it that's so wonderful. This is such a powerful way for people to come to gain control of their own lives. Mm-hmm. And there's no chemical involved. It's powerful. When you think of how medicine and talk therapy and all of that really just mess up our lives. Think of all the time these people who have come to you have spent, and all the money they have spent fruitlessly trying to solve problems that you've been able to solve in a session or two.
Yes, all the wisdom's available to us. The answers are within us, and we're just inviting you to invite the guidance to come forth through you as if you were channeling it, And you don't even have to, because many clients will say to me at the end of the session, was I really a farmer who was forced to go off to war, leaving his pregnant wife at home alone and then died in a battle? I mean, really? Well, maybe. Dr. Brian Wright, a psychiatrist, wrote a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, which is a classic in past life regression therapy.
Absolutely.
Believes that up to 80% of what happens to you in these stories could have happened to you. Maybe. Or maybe you attracted to you someone else's story from the collective unconscious that Carl Jung talked about. He said that everybody's story is out there, and maybe you told that person's story because it mirrors where you're stuck. And by telling that person's story helped you to become unstuck, or maybe you made up the whole thing. But is the pain in the shoulder gone? Oh, it is? Then let's not worry about it.
Yes, perfectly said, Peter.
It's a story coming from within you that has the capacity to help you let go of thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs that keep you stuck, keep you unable to move forward. So by coming to closure with that story, amazing things can happen in just 1 2-hour session.
There's one consciousness. We are all part of one consciousness. Essentially, there's one of us here. We are one powerful being.
And we're all connected to everybody else.
That's right.
That's
right. Exactly right.
So let's call upon our own guidance to come forth through you and invite that guidance to help you resolve these issues. It's time. It's time.
And that's really what this is all about. That's what you're doing. You're allowing us to access the great universal consciousness. And if it heals you, and if it works, that's all we really want to talk about.
Resolving the soul's unfinished business.
I just can't thank you enough. I think what you do is fabulous. Because as I say, I hear from people all the time who have consulted you when they have had a long-standing problem and it went away. So that's the whole point, isn't it? That is just the whole point.
Just get out of the way and trust in the process and know that your inner wisdom is there to support us. And then, at least through my approach, giving you an opportunity to reconnect with that inner wisdom whenever you choose, so they can help you navigate decisions in your life in the future. They love you. They want you to succeed and are eager to help you release the blocks that are preventing you from moving forward.
It is one gigantic love. That's all it is. That's all that really is all that exists. And what this does is to allow us to remove the blocks to love's awareness in our lives. That's all it is. It's beautiful.
Yes.
It works. Tell people how they can reach you.
I have a website. It's insightsfromwithin.com, insight with an S at the end. I offer free consultations to clients by Zoom or phone or Skype, where we talk for 30 to 45 minutes or so. You talk about the issues you'd like to resolve, and I talk about hypnosis and the tools that I bring into the session. And if there's a match, great. And if there's not a match, great. That's okay too. But it's a way for potential clients to learn more about how this particular approach can often quickly resolve key issues in their life that have been difficult to come to closure with using more conventional means.
And I think it's, I can't get over how well it works, because as I say, people that I really trust, love, and care about very much have had huge success from working with you. So I respect that wholly. And I still remember the day that I was in your office and we had a complete washout because Thomas wouldn't allow you to even attempt to regress me to past lives. So instead, we called all 17 of my previous lives into the room at once, and it was very crowded, and they were all males. I can't get over that. I've always been male. And that was pretty amazing. I got to meet all 17 of my previous lives that I've lived with him. It was really spectacular.
It's not time yet for you to know what those lifetimes are, but when you return to the spirit realm, they'll be there to greet you.
They will be, and I'm going to have a lot of fun meeting them all.
Exactly.
Well, Peter, this has been wonderful. Please consider yourself hugged. by all 17 of, actually 18, me too, all 18 of us at once.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Everyone, this has been yet another venture into the greater truth with Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm so happy you could be with us today, and it's always a big treat when Peter's here. Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began, you never will end. And when you really get all the implications of that fact, it's going to change everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest is going to be your host because teachingsbyjesus.com is live, and it's live on the schedule that Jesus requested of us almost a year ago. I'm going to explain this project to you in more detail next week, and I'll tell you why it is so essential, and I'll take you on a walking tour of teachingsbyjesus.com. I really hope you will join us next week. This is a project that is very near and dear to my heart. And this week, we've been talking with Peter Wright, who has been with us for the 15th time and not the last. Peter is a real Seek Reality crowd favorite because he has been a help to so many people in this audience. He's one of only 40 board-certified past life regression therapists in the United States. He's certified as a Life Between Lives hypnotherapist, too. He's also skilled in spirit releasement therapy. And Peter has helped nearly, well, more than at this point, 2,000 people with his various forms of hypnotherapy in his office in Santa Barbara, California, and also by Zoom or phone or whatever he will do whatever he can do to help you. He does, as he says, offer a 30-minute consultation by phone, Zoom, or Skype, so he can figure out with you whether what he does is going to be helpful to you. But I think if you think he can help, he probably can help because he has helped so many people in this audience already. And frankly, Peter Wright is just plain a delight to know. He's somebody that you'll be happy to have as one of your friends. Because people keep raving to me about him, I think he'll be with us frequently in the future. And now, of course, it's time once again to mention that Seek Reality Online is your one-stop resource for all things death and the afterlife. Don't be afraid to die. Just go to seekreality.com and start to learn for yourself that your reality really is eternal. And teachingsbyjesus.com is your single source for all the beautiful divine truths that are brought to us in perfect love by our eternal teacher, Master Jesus, the eternally risen Christ. Now it really is Jesus' turn to tell us the truth. As Christianity, the religion, finally dies away at last, the genuine teachings of Jesus can finally come alive. Teachingsbyjesus.com is the Lord's own religion-free website, made by him in perfect love for you. As you surely know by now, my nonfiction books are Liberating Jesus, My Thomas, The Fun of Dying, The Fun of Staying in Touch, The Fun of Growing Forever, The Fun of Living Together, and The Fun of Loving Jesus, Embracing the Christianity that Jesus taught. For young children, there's The Fun of Meeting Jesus, and you can order all these books through bookstores or on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. And all of the adult books except the last one are also available as audiobooks. If you want to talk about any of my books or anything at all, just contact me through the green contact block on RobertaGrimes.com. Just if you want a response, you've got to give me your correct email address. I hate it when these emails I write, and they're long emails sometimes, I hate it when they bounce. Past episodes of Seek Reality are available wherever podcasts are found, and many people they listen each week through the Seek Reality app that you can find for free wherever free apps are available. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being, and you and all the universe, you in particular, are infinitely loved.
You've been listening to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Roberta blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Join us every week as we explore what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about the one reality we all share. Knowing the truth changes everything.